Hi friends, it's Caitlin and welcome back to the Floating Rock podcast. I hope you're having the most incredible day ever. So, today, fun, right? Interning for your higher self, like cute. Love it, love it. Before I get into literally any part of this video though, I must credit the girl whose actual idea this was. I saw it on TikTok. Her name is Sophie Morgan Burns. Let me double check. Sophie Morgan Burns, period. Find her on TikTok. She also has a website. Yeah, I don't really know how the internet works with this stuff because I just love the idea. And I was like, wait, I just want to expand on that and keep talking about it. But yeah, I'm going to link her TikTok and that specific video in the description so you guys can actually see what I got inspired by. But yeah, this is me saying I'm trying not to steal her stuff, but I thought it was interesting and I wanted to talk about it. So yeah, she basically to introduce this, I guess, she had this video and it was about the idea of interning for your higher self. And so I took it upon myself to be okay, how am I gonna define this, right? In my head for you guys on the Floating Rock podcast, right? And so I kind of defined it as a way to imagine all-around self-growth as if the higher version of yourself already exists and you are being trained by them to become them. To me, that's kind of the vibe of what the mindset shift sort of idea of interning for your higher self is that it's a little bit, I'd say, spiritual in a way that, this version of you already exists and you're kind of just being trained by them, like I said, to become them. And I was like, wait, cute. It's only been 2 weeks, I feel like, but I'm I just feel like I haven't done much of my usual self-help bullshit on here recently. So I was oh my god, I've been wanting to make this episode for a little bit. So I was okay, wait, cute, good day to do it. And I feel I need this motivation a lot right now as well. But yeah, I just feel I loved that video. It inspired me so much, and I feel it's gonna keep on inspiring me to talk about it right now, and hopefully it inspires you. But yeah, so I will start with one thought though. Okay, so I've talked about this on the pod before with this whole higher self thing, blah blah blah. I do think that there is a reason why, to an extent, maybe we are interning right now. Obviously, if you're around my age, we're still young and all that. But I do truly think, I truly think we have all these wants, we have all these desires, we have these big dreams, big life, big all this. But so many of them we're not ready for. I just, for some reason, that's not a very deep belief of mine, but if you gave me everything I wanted out of my life tomorrow, I'm just I don't know if I would be ready for that, or if I would be ready to fully step into the role to be that Caitlin. And I think that's why we have to go on the journey beforehand. We have to be the intern beforehand. But yeah, I just want to start off with that too, and just, it's almost harsh hope in a way, where it's it's so possible to become these things, but also to an extent you have to appreciate the journey, because if you had all the instant gratification in the world, most likely you wouldn't quite be ready. But that's why we're on the journey, like I said. So anyway, though, on that note as well, while I believe in the higher self, in the self-growth of it all, as we know, I had my whole episode about, is there such a thing as too much self-help, right? So I also think two things can exist at once, and today I'm talking about this side, I also, as we know, am a firm believer in be happy where you are, be content where you are, live in the present. Once you get to that future self, is it really going to be all that, be present. Anyway, but I just want to point that out because I actually had an interesting conversation while I was out this weekend, because of course it was with a man, ew, but this guy was asking me what do you do? Somehow the pod comes up and he's what's it about? I'm it's positivity, motivation, blah blah blah, just optimism, yay, cuteness, silliness. And this man is all oh, but don't you think that a lot of the time the motivation people need is oh, you're a piece of shit, blah blah blah, just kind of countering. I was just kind of telling him, I'm well, if someone doesn't like positivity and silliness and optimistic motivation, then they don't listen, or they try listening, realize they don't like it, and move on. He's don't you think it's oversaturated? I'm just well, it's more about, people liking your voice, and it's just an interpersonal internet connection between you and the viewer. I'm just trying to explain this to a man was just so insane. It was just kind of funny to have that conversation in real life, because I feel I've had that rhetorical conversation here before of I'm not necessarily right, and there's multiple ways to do things, and things can all be right at once, and blah blah. Maybe I'm not the fit for you, maybe I am the fit for you. I just thought that was really interesting. Anywho, not the point of today, but I just thought I'd share that with you guys. I like weaving the stories in, you know, I think it's interesting, and I finally had a story for once. So, interning for your higher self. I love the use of the word intern. I love that because because it could be like working for your higher self or studying, and I'm just like, intern is the perfect fucking word. Thank you, Sophie Morgan Burns. Like, I'm gonna keep crediting this bitch so it doesn't sound like I'm like trying to steal her shit. Anyway, so I love the word intern because I feel like by now, if you have gone through college or you're like in your 20s, like you've most likely interned for somebody, or like maybe had some sort of job where you're not fully employed. I just feel like interns feel so full of like hope. It feels so full of hard work. I think a lot of the time, also these days, people are interning for free. Not me, but kudos to you if you did that. Oh my god. Or if you are currently doing that, like that's what's up. And that shows a lot of commitment to the craft. But I just feel like to be doing these things, to be paid minimum wage or not paid at all, like I said, to be maybe doing extra work on top of your schoolwork, driving 2 hours to LA, or, you know, in any situation that you did intern, and it was probably a little bit annoying, right? Like, I haven't heard many stories where people have had internships and they're like, wow, that was like my dream job. It was so much fun and everything was perfect, you know? Because, you know, as an intern, you're kind of given the work that no one else wants to do to an extent that you're qualified to do. But I just feel like it's so full of hope, and why people intern is to get further, you know, to get further in your career, further in life. Like, I feel like you intern somewhere generally because you admire the people there, you admire the company as a whole, you admire, just like what they're doing there, maybe just one specific person, or maybe you've interned only for one person, like almost like an assistant sort of thing. I just feel like, though, when it comes to the idea of like interning for your higher self, the word intern is perfect because you're doing it for damn free, for one, right? Like, no one's paying you to be a better you. But I also like how it kind of insinuates this like overwhelming devotion and passion to just want to be better, want to be further. I don't feel like many people intern just as like I was bored, thought I'd be an intern, or I don't know. Like, people usually are interns because they want something so damn bad, you know? Like, I want to be a writer so damn bad, so I read, guys, I don't read books like that. I read once a 500-page book about like the South. I did it though, and against all odds, somehow I finished the book. I think that's actually this is so bad. That was actually one of the first books I read since like high school, and that was crazy. But you know, you do these things because you want to get to where you want so damn bad. So number one, if you're resonating with this at all, I applaud you because you want something so damn bad, you know, and that's the first step, you know. No one ever got anywhere by not wanting it so damn bad, right? Actually, recently too, I've been like, I have to really start like locking in and getting really delusional, you know, like everyone, like, I don't know, recently, like that's kind of been the wave like that I've been on, and I'm like, woo, like I need to start getting delusional. But that's a good thing, honestly, if you have big dreams. But anyway, I think it's so funny about interns. I just think that you kind of will like do anything, sort of no questions asked, because you're not even like a full employee. That's just another reason why I love like the word intern for this is like, you'll just do it and you'll be like, okay, you know, like no questions asked here because I'm not even a full employee. Like, I don't have PTO. And I just think that also applies to this whole topic, because one of the points that she sort of made in this video was like, I think the word she used was like trying on different hats, blah, blah, blah. But I just thought, as the intern to your higher self, life, or that higher self that does exist in the future or exists in the universe, they are throwing things at you. Life is throwing things at you. Every damn day, life is throwing things at you. You're probably thinking right now of that one thing that was thrown at you this week that you were like, oh my God, right? And maybe it's a small decision, a big decision, a little project, an opportunity, maybe even something you never thought you'd do. Like, there are so many things that, you know, life could possibly throw at you, right? But what I think is so powerful about taking this mindset shift of like interning for your higher self is, as you would in a real internship, most of the time you'd be like, okay, and I'll figure it out, and you'll learn on the job, and you'll ask your questions if you need to, but in the end you're gonna like move past said obstacle, you're going to take on said challenge, and you're going to get it done to the best of your ability because you want to get further. You want the people who are above you to be like, oh wow, look at her, she's slaying, like she really did that thing, period. On that note as well, I had a conversation with my mom sort of about this today, weirdly enough, but on the note of just taking the things that life throws at you. I mentioned this honestly in my first episode ever. Just a reminder, it's probably not, it might be a little more hectic, but I don't know, I think it could be interesting to go listen to the first episode if you're newer here and you've never listened to it before, just to get the lore and be fully introduced. I don't know, you don't have to, but our conversation today was about pivoting. And I mentioned this very briefly also in my The Great Rebuilding post-college episode, and also in that other episode, but she went to school she got a master's in social work. Y'all, a master's is a lot of work. And she proceeded to do that for a little while and then end up helping my dad with his business and doing bookkeeping, logistical shit that she did not have any business doing. And, she kind of told me she's like, yeah, honestly, it was really hard to pivot, and I didn't really ever think about it before like that, but I'm like, oh my god, she not abandoned her dream of being a social worker. If you know my mom, this bitch is a helper. She will help anyone and everyone. She loves it. And she was like, yeah, that was actually really hard because I had put so much time and effort and blah 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 into this social work, right? And kind of changing that to help her family and blah blah blah. It was a big shift, but and I brought up the point too of well, it's interesting though how inadvertently having this job has actually given you more time to help people in a different way that you probably ever thought you would have. I think I touched on this in the first episode, but did I say my mom was a professional sidekick? I had some cute little metaphor for it, but she has been so impactful in so many people's businesses and lives, and it's not necessarily social work, but by being able to work from home and all this stuff, it's given her the time to be this helper that she's meant to be in the world, but in a different way than previously thought. And then I asked her too, I'm like, oh, do you ever think about your retirement? Any side quests there? Are you gonna go back to it, right? And she was like, oh yeah, I think about it. And she's like, yeah, I'd probably do a lot of volunteering, blah blah blah. So I'm just this is all to say, just someone's real life experience, someone who's older than 22 years old, that perhaps her higher self was throwing this opportunity at her. And I think obviously if she stuck with the social work route, things would have been great and fine. But really does show that your higher self can throw things at you that you wouldn't expect and that you even think you don't want, but can actually help you achieve what you really wanted deep down in the first place anyway, just in a different way than you had previously thought. And I don't know, I'm a big believer of that. I feel I talk about that a lot. The universe has things in store you could have never even thought of. And a lot of the time too, you achieve these things that you wanted, but it's actually just the core, and it's not all the floof and the details you thought it would be. Perhaps you're I'm gonna find my dream partner, and you have all of this in your head of what they are, and then one day you finally meet them, marry them, whatever, and you did find your dream partner, but that's actually, it wasn't all the floof and feathers that you thought said dream person would be. I don't know, just an example. But yeah, pivoting, taking what life throws at you. Yeah, taking on challenges. Oh, another little point she had too was the more that you fight things like this sometimes, the more friction and the harder your life will be sometimes, is when you fight the things that are thrown at you rather than just rolling with the punches and working with it. So I was interesting. Oh, okay. So anyway, on to the higher self in general. I do think it falls a little bit in the woo-woo category, but I like it. I like the idea of higher self as an idea, because I think I like how well-rounded it is. I think I had said that earlier, but I love how well-rounded the idea of your higher self is, because I think so much of the time growth things can be very narrow-minded, as in my dream body, my dream job, blah blah blah. And I really love the idea of your higher self is just this all-encompassing, every category of your life elevated to where you want it to be, who you want it to be. And I just like that, because I think, as I've had an episode about this, we're all so multifaceted that you just can't have your dream job and then simultaneously be the exact same person you were before, sort of back on the topic of, if you got it tomorrow, is that really right for you? I don't know. I just like how it focuses almost on everything moving up together rather than just focusing on one specific thing, because inadvertently your mental health is going to affect your career, which is going to affect your financial stat, and then your relationships, and everything affects everything. And I love the idea of keeping them all together when it comes to thinking about growth. Oh my God. Okay, this was good. Okay, so one of the words she used was like training. And I was like, oh my God, because I honestly have been in a little bit of like a weird place recently where I'm finally kind of getting into the groove a little bit of my life here. Somehow it's taken so damn long. Don't know how that's happened, but I've had tons of people visiting, blah, 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 like just like a lot of non-ordinary things, if you will, that just make new plans that normally wouldn't be in a week, or blah, 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 like all that kind of stuff. And I feel like, you guys know me. I don't like the word failing. I never believe you can fail. Like, you can't fail. Like, that's my thing. You can't fail. But for the sake of the analogy, I feel like recently, to an extent, I feel like I keep failing little things, And I loved this idea of, and maybe for you, you feel the same. Anyway, I love this idea of training. And when it comes to maybe routines or blah, 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 like, you are training to be your higher self. And so I'm sure that there's something that you have that you are continuously trying to do. Maybe it's a fitness journey. Maybe it's working on your craft. Maybe it's having just a routine every day. Maybe it's your mental health. I feel like we all have these things that we're working on, and can kind of feel like sometimes you keep failing, coming short. You are stopping, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think a lot of the time it has to do with consistency, But I love the idea of training, because when you are training for a sport, when you're in the gym, when you're rehearsing, if you're in theater or dance or whatever, you are not expected to be perfect. You're not expected to be perfect, but you're expected to keep on working towards being better. And so, honestly, that might be one of my favorite points of this whole episode. Having the shift in your mind of thinking about where you are in life as training, as interning, as training yourself to be better at said thing. I just love the idea of not being down on yourself and not thinking you're failing, and just truly treating it like, I am training. Because, like, I don't know, if you're on gym talk, like if you're a gym person, big thing is train till failure, right? If you want to get stronger, you have to go up a weight, do 10 reps, and then you fail at 10, sure, and then next time you're like, okay, wait, I did 10 reps, I'm gonna go up a weight, go till failure is 8, and then and then you're gonna move up and then be able to do 10. Once you can do 10, you go up a weight, and then you train till like, you know what I mean? So I think if there's anything I can really, really send to you guys today that I resonate the most with right now, it's know that you're training to be your higher self, and you're not failing if there's something that you keep trying and trying again. And maybe, I think for a lot of people, it is just these lifestyle things maybe, and just having habits, having routines, having consistent mental health, it's like sometimes it's just these baseline things that we overlook. Just know that you're training, and that you are getting better the longer you train, and just the more consistent you are. What was that? I think I saw something once before that was like, inevitably, if you keep trying, you will get better. So do not fucking forget that, okay? So another thing that she had talked about was, when you're your higher self, a lot of these things aren't optional. And I was like, once again, in lines with the whole, like, if you had it, would you actually be ready? And I loved that, because it just made me think about, like, all of these things that I think we treat as, like, optional. Almost like, as you know, I like to use, like, fitness and health stuff as, like, an example. I feel like it's the easiest to, like, understand, and maybe, like, the most universal for people. Let's say you're on a fitness journey right now, and you are trying to go to the gym, whatever, and then you skip a week. Like, sure, your higher self, like, that's not optional. Skipping a week, not optional. Once again, my favorite example too, to call myself out, posting on social media. Guys, the second I actually do this, it's gonna be great. I think I talk about this in every single episode, and I'm still training. Love it. But anyway, if and when, no, I'm gonna say when the podcast is bigger, sure, it's not optional to just not post. You know what I mean? Like, when you are this higher self of yours, it's not optional to not respond to texts. It's not optional to be late. It's not optional to miss your deadlines. It's not optional to be off of your routine. You know what I'm like? When you are eventually your higher self, a lot of these things that we kind of use as excuses or just things that we happen to do right now, they're just not optional. And that's not to say like you can't give yourself grace once you become your higher self, but it's just another good thing to think about of like, oh wow, like thinking about almost not how far you have to go, but thinking about, yeah, all of these little excuses and things. And like as the intern, you can kind of get away with half-assing this or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but if you truly want to become that higher self, you need to know that a lot of these things that you maybe are pushing off or half-assing whatever or not doing, they're not optional. And that's okay. And it's a good thing just to know that. And I just loved her point about that, because I think I don't know, I especially took it to heart for like the social media thing. Because I was like, you want this so much, yet once you have it, like that's not an option to like just go MIA, you know? So just interesting. And okay, also if you're a writer, like once you're a writer, it's not optional to not be writing. Or even once you have your big girl job, full on like your head title, what that you want eventually, it's not optional to stay out till 2 on a freaking weekday. I don't know. You know what I mean though? You guys get that one. But I just thought that was super interesting. Oh my god, I also loved this little point she had. Wow, I think I'm just like doing a book report on a 2-minute TikTok right now, but that's okay. So she also had this cute point about her higher self, your higher self, working through you in a material way. And I was like, interesting. And she was saying, yeah, they're planting ideas about things that like material things you might want to purchase or places you want to go or experiences to have. And I've talked about this before about like calling ideas rain, and you know, when you're not open to them or blah, 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 you have this umbrella over your head, you know? And so I love the idea of, you know, being very aware of the things that come into your brain, you know, because they're there for a reason, right? And I just want to like mention this too, which was I just found interesting. But recently I feel like the things that have been planting in my head are very experiential. And I'm like, what is my higher self trying to tell me? Because I feel like I've always been a very, career-oriented, perhaps even achievement person, right? I don't know about achievement, but you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I love the things that I want to do or that I am doing, right? Because they're like things I'm passionate about, writing, podcasts, whatever. But recently, some of these downloads, if you will, have just been so experiential, and they kind of don't have anything to do with my future career. And I kind of like it, you know? Obviously, it doesn't mean I'm not thinking about that stuff at all, but it's interesting to like pay attention to that and think, okay, maybe that is the universe, my higher self saying like, okay, but like to become me, like the words that she used was, you're creating the space for them to land, for your higher self to land. And I go, oh my God, wait, so interesting. Like almost like your higher self can't land until you have had almost like she knows you're going to have this experience traveling alone through Europe, right? But you haven't done it yet. So she knows she can't land until you have done that, because you're going to experience some crucial shit there, right? So just some of these things that come to you, take them down. Like maybe they are intentional things that you are supposed to be kind of being told by the universe to experience or achieve or purchase, I don't exactly know, but to create a space where that higher version of yourself can actually land. Also, she was mentioning that her higher self taking away things too, you know, on the same note of like rolling with the punches. Maybe you don't cling too tightly when certain things are taken out of your life, because maybe that's for a reason, for your higher self to eventually land in your life, to be you eventually. But yeah, I just love the idea of like, I don't know, my higher self telling me right now to focus a lot on maybe more things to experience than things exactly to achieve. I don't know. Not entirely. I don't know. That's actually one little thing I had in my brain recently was like, it's funny how what I say here could be taken as full face value. Like, oh, like in the Great Rebuilding episode, when I like said like my 6 things on my docket, I'm like, obviously that's not like the full 6 things on my life docket, but it's like what I felt applicable for the episode, blah, blah. So just like, I don't know, random little tidbit, but I'm like, obviously there's career things on my mind, but there's been like an interesting pivot of interest and attention towards experiences for me recently. Oh, and one of her last notes in the video was just trying not to rush her higher self, trying not to rush her way to being her higher self, trying not to rush for her higher self to land, And I also really agree with that. And I think that, like I mentioned earlier, it's about the journey. You can't become this higher self without having this journey of interning and training to be them. And yeah, it's almost like you can't truly earn it unless you've spent the time doing like the grunt work, And yeah, that's just a reminder that not great things don't happen overnight. And I feel like you'll feel like you've earned your place as your higher self if you truly lean into the experience of training and interning for them. But anyway, guys, the floating rock twist to this is I took it upon myself to come up with a few assignments, intern assignments for you. If you want to take them, you do not have to do any of them. You don't have to do all of them. I'm going to try and do a few of them, I think. But I just thought, okay, in true intern fashion, there's assignments. And I kind of love this little call to action shit. But yeah, I just thought I'd tell you some ideas I had for just getting yourself in this mindset of interning for your higher self. I just love, realistically, it's just a perspective switch. And I think it's kind of fun and useful and stuff. But yeah, so the first one I talked about briefly in another episode, and it was doing a meeting with yourself, doing a life audit. And I used to do this craft fair when I was younger, and me and my best friend back then, we loved having meetings. I love a meeting. So sitting yourself down, opening a blank Google Doc, and just having a meeting with yourself, having a full life audit. Let me see what I wrote down about possible things to write down, think about. I'm assuming that mine would just be a really, really random hodgepodge of getting the things that are 2 miles back in your brain, so random, I really wanted to start pottery, or just really random shit, kind of, I'm not gonna lie, one day I really want to go to Japan, stuff like that, that's kind of further back and maybe not as important. I don't know, just putting it all down and all those things that are swirling in your head, putting it all on paper, having the audit. So some of the things I was thinking was, let's see, how much, I feel like now that we're adulting, money is kind of important. So how much money you're currently making, some of your goals financially, some of your goals internally, mental health wise, self-improvement, all that kind of stuff. Some of your goals experientially, like I just mentioned, any experiences you really want to have. Your goals career-wise, obviously that's a big one. Maybe evaluating your routines, see what's working, what's not. Is there something you're constantly skipping? Is there something you're really good at and you're slaying, Evaluate how you feel most days of your life. Are you generally content? Are you maybe not? What can we do about it? Obviously, with this audit comes an action plan, right? What else? Perhaps maybe evaluate your space. Maybe the feng shui is off. Maybe you need to rearrange things. If you're built like that, maybe you need to fucking move. I don't know. I could see that actually, especially if you're maybe living in your parents' house like me right now. Maybe that is something that has been swirling in the back of your head and you're you know what? I gotta evaluate my space, and what I've evaluated is I need to get the hell out. It's possible. Maybe evaluate your relationships, how those are going, or maybe the ones you want to forge, or ones you want to, I don't know, maybe get rid of if they're not serving you. But yeah, take this in literally any direction you want. You can also really tailor it towards your niche perhaps too. If you are a creative, I think this is also really fun to really have a section in there about your craft, right? Cute and fun. But yeah, I love the idea of a big life audit, a self meeting. Take yourself to a coffee shop, get a cute drink, do it at home, do whatever you want. But I just love the idea of sitting yourself down, being self-centered as fuck, and auditing your life. Ooh, this one's cute. I had this idea actually on another podcast episode as well about kind of having the best day ever, living your dream life, right? And I would argue that it's possible to live your dream life to an extent every day, in a way, but I also think it's even more possible to do it for one day. And I would also argue that your higher self is your dream life. So my second assignment for you is to spend a day, your entire fucking day, as your higher self would. And I'm not talking any fucking gaps. Maybe you already kind of have a job that has to do with your, no, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. So one of my ones, I'm going to use my older example for this, but I had kind of thought of my dream day as arguably my higher self. And I think the dream day was something along the lines of wake up, go to the gym, go to Muay Thai, go to a coffee shop, maybe see a friend there, go home, record the pod, get writing done, and then maybe spend time again with friends or with family later that night. And I'm like, that's a dream day right there, you know, like doing the things I'm passionate about, whether it's career or non-career, spending time with people I love, like that's a dream day for me. And I'm assuming she'd be wearing a cute outfit, she'd be eating healthy food. Oh my God, I put it into ChatGPT too, and they like kind of elaborated on it, and they were like, oh, like, and then when you make breakfast, you're gonna like pick herbs from your garden. I was like, yes, they get it. So my challenge for you, second assignment, is live the entire day as your higher self would. Obviously, it doesn't mean go Airbnb out a mansion, but to whatever extent that you can, right? Do the workouts you enjoy, see the people you enjoy, do the things you love, blah, blah, blah. So maybe it is meant for a weekend day, or maybe you actually would do it on a day you have work kind of thing, you know what I mean? But take that in any direction you want as well. But I think it's very possible to live a day like that. I do think, maybe it's just me, I think you really need to plan it out though beforehand, just so you truly stick to it, you know? Because I think it's easy to fall into the gaps of like sitting on your phone for a little bit, or like, I don't know. I just love the idea of that. I want to do that one soon. That sounds kind of cute and fun. But it's kind of similar to what I was talking about in the last episode about like stacks, you know, and like, and then I'm going to go here and then do this and then do that, instead of just saying, oh yeah, today I'm going to like go get matcha, you know, cute. Third assignment is to organize something you've been meaning to organize. Think about your higher self right now. Your higher self does not have that junk drawer, does she now? Ooh, she doesn't have that. Yeah. Your higher self does not have a messy digital space, does she now? She doesn't. Your higher self doesn't have a messy room, like all that kind of stuff, a messy kitchen, whatever. So take the time to like clean out one of those things and organize it, because your higher self would not have that. And it kind of reminds me too of like a real intern task. Like that's your busy work one, you know. The rest of these are kind of more interesting intern tasks, but a lot of times as an intern you get busy work. So this is your busy work task, is to organize something you've been meaning to organize for your higher self. Oh, another really cute one. Write a note to your future self, to your future higher self, might I argue. I did this before for a class, and I'll put a link in the description of like a website to do it through. It's really easy. You can like set the time in the future, like it could be 6 months, a year, whatever. Write yourself that note. It was actually so cool, because I actually wrote it the day I started the pod, and that was like fucking insane. And like a lot of the things actually came true that I wrote in it, and it was so cute. So I highly recommend that one. It's pretty easy. And lastly, this one's the silliest, is dress in your intern uniform. Dress like you have the job. Dress like your higher self would. And this could be on the day that you have as your higher self, or it could literally be tomorrow. Like it could be any day. But imagine if you wake up, you are picking out your outfit, and then you go, oh my God, wait, I remember Caitlin said to dress like the intern for my higher self. Don't you just feel like putting that outfit on, seeing yourself in the mirror throughout the day, like that will just remind you to act like that motherfucking bitch, act like the intern you are, put your head down and work towards that shit that you want? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I love that. I actually am wearing a shirt today that I bought for an internship. Very modest, very cute. I'm sweating a lot. Yay! Okay, guys, that is the end of the episode. This was so fucking long. Holy fuck, it was long. Okay. I don't know how short it's gonna cut though. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope that this motivated you. It motivated me. I fucking needed this. When do I not need this though, honestly? As you can tell, the coffee's kicking in right about now. But thank you so much for listening. Follow the pod, rate 5 stars, and I'll give you a kiss on the face. What else? Yeah, but I really hope that this inspired you to feel like the intern for your higher self, because you deserve to be your higher self. But for now, we can all be interns together. But also don't forget, live in the present, love your life, be content, be a good person, all that loveliness. Okay, kisses and love. Bye.